Welcome to episode 2 of Watch Talk Wrist Check. I am wearing the Speedmaster today, the Sapphire Sandwich on its OEM bracelet. First question comes from Lance, who says, "Hi Bruce, I'm very curious how you would rank the following $1,000 divers, all of them on a bracelet. The Marathon G-SAR 41mm automatic, the Seiko SPB 143, the Yema Superman Heritage, and the Doxa Sub 200. I really cannot go over the $1,000 mark, so unfortunately, this rules out other popular watches that I like. The Oris Diver 65 and the Zen 104. Any other suggestions to consider? I have a 7-inch wrist. Big thanks for doing what you do, Lance." Well, Lance, I would rank the watches that you listed very similarly to how you wrote them down in your email. I think the Marathon is overall the best quality out of the watches that you mentioned. It is so well built. It's a tank, it's a tool, it's a beast. And it's very confidence inspiring. Every person that I know that owns a Marathon loves their G-SAR. And I think it has the best low light luminescence out of the watches that you mentioned with those tritium tubes. But I think it takes a certain type of personality and style to really pull that watch off because frankly, it's very brutal. It's very austere and toolish. And I think as a daily driver, it's not the one that I would want to wear every day personally. You may disagree with me. But I would tell you to go with the Seiko SPB 143. I think this is the best design of the watches that you mentioned. I love the history of this watch. So essentially, this is a modern interpretation of Seiko's original diver from 1965. It carries the original color combination, the anthracite gray and black bezel, and I think it's versatile, attractive, it's pleasantly sized at 40mm, and will carry the best case finishing of the watches that you mentioned. And so I would tell you to go with the Seiko. It has a longer power reserve. I wouldn't call the 6R in the Seiko on the same playing field as the Solita that's in the Marathon. But, I think with the versatility, the design, the LumiBrite, the in-house factor, that Seiko is hard to beat. And I will say the Seiko and the Marathon, I both rank above the other two watches that you mentioned, the Yema and the Doxa. And for fear of offending more Doxa lovers, I think the Sub shouldn't be in contention. I think it's a $500 watch at best in terms of quality and feel. I was pretty disappointed with that 200 when I reviewed it compared to the Yema and compared to other Seiko and Marathons. And I think with Doxa, you really have to go with a 300 or a 1200. And with those watches, absolutely, those are great value picks. And I'm impressed with those. I'm not really impressed with the sub 200. Now, I think I'm doing you a disservice if I don't mention that I think it's possible that you could get the Zen 104 and the Oris Diver 65 if you want to. You just have to be okay with buying a pre-owned watch because the 104 and the Diver 65 regularly sell for under $1,000 pre-owned, and it's generally without the bracelet. So if you're willing to shop around and be patient, I think you can get a Zen. I think you can get the Oris at the price that you're looking for, that you're comfortable at. And if you're open to doing that, I think it's something that you should consider. And you can always opt for a bracelet down the road after you've kind of padded that watch budget back up a bit. But definitely something to consider. Now let's go to the next topic here. This one comes from Imran, who sent some pictures of his Seamaster, and he placed the Aqua Terra strap on the Seamaster and just showed me that the two are compatible, and that's not something I would have tried. And so if you guys have an Aqua Terra and you have a Seamaster, you can see the two are compatible, and I will say it looks pretty cool. Seeing that hint of stainless steel in the fitted end part of the rubber in between the lugs, I think there is something attractive about it. I don't know if it would be my pick if I was going to buy a rubber strap for the Seamaster, but I appreciate that, Imran. Thanks for sending those pictures over. Now let's go to the next comment. We've got a few more here. This one comes from Joash, who says, "Hi Bruce, it's Joash again. I notice you're a big fan of Oris. I've seen your review of the Oris Carysfort Reef limited edition, and it is visually stunning, but the green Hangang has recently released, and I wondered what your thoughts are on it. I'm trying to decide between the Hangang and the Carysfort. Which do you think is the most visually beautiful and has the best movement? Best regards and stay safe." Stay safe. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Joash. Well, I'm going to tell you to go with the Hangang. I have a thing for green dialed watches, and Oris does an especially sharp color of green. It looks to be a little bit different from the green Aquas, which is their best-selling colorway, a watch that I've reviewed on the channel in the past. And there's just something about the verdant, saturated hue of green that is so enticing and inviting, and it looks great in natural light. It looks great in artificial light or in low light. So I'm going to tell you to go with the Hangang. And as far as, movement, I think they're both on the same playing field, in my opinion. They're both Solita calibers that are based off of ETA calibers. They're unregulated, and I don't favor one over the other personally. So I'm going to tell you to go with the Hangang. Even though the Carysfort is very beautiful, very striking, I just think the green, especially the way Oris does it, would be a little bit more exciting as an everyday piece. Now let's go to the next question. This one is from Shivan, who says, "Hey Bruce, congrats on the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. It is one of my dream watches and my personal favorite out of the holy trinity of sport watches." I appreciate that. I'm totally in love with it. Absolutely in my honeymoon. I wear it most days. I'm not wearing it today, but I am wearing it probably 6 out of the 7 days of the week. And as far as the holy trinity of sport watches, I still really love the AP 15500 or 15400 in silver, and I'd love to see one of those in person, but absolutely loving ownership of the Overseas. Now continuing, I was wondering if Hamilton is considered an entry-level luxury brand. Shivan. Well, Shivan, I would not classify Hamilton as entry-level luxury, but at the same time, I have to say that the watches that we wear, they are luxury items. And so even if we're spending, $300, $500, $600 on a Hamilton, technically that is a luxury. It is an accessory. It's a piece of pretty men's jewelry that tells us the time to a greater degree of inaccuracy than if we were to look at our cell phones that, sync to the atomic time multiple times throughout the day. So watches essentially are luxury items. Hamilton would technically be a luxury item. But in terms of watches in the watch sphere, I don't think it's entry-level luxury. Personally, I say you have to get up to the roughly $2,000-$3,000 price point. You're looking at Tudor, you're looking at some Longines, you're looking at entry-level Breitling, you're looking at some pre-owned Omegas. I think you've really got to get up to that $2,000-$3,000 price point to technically get the title of entry-level luxury amongst us crazy watch enthusiasts, be that right or wrong. Now the last question, this one comes from Damien, who says, "Bruce, what is your take on these two watches mentioned? The Snoopy 50th edition and the James Cameron Deepsea. I know the Deepsea is a thick watch, but the looks of it are more appealing to me than the new Snoopy, even if the Snoopy goes up in value over the next 10 years. Regards, Damien." Well, I'll tell you, Damien, I love both of these watches. I especially think the new silver Snoopy looks really fun with its colorway, with the gimmicky way the Earth rotates on the back, and how Snoopy goes behind the moon and comes around on the Apollo command and service module. I think it's a really cool watch. Will it hold its own in value? I think it will. But here's the thing. You mentioned here in your email that it looks more appealing to you. The Deepsea does. And I will say, always go with what you love. Regardless of what Bruce Williams says on YouTube or any other talking head or any other watch blog. Always buy what you enjoy, what you connect with what speaks with you, because that's how you're going to enjoy the hobby to the fullest degree for you. And what's right for you is not necessarily right for another person. I like both watches. I think the James Cameron would be so cool to own, but man, is it a chunky beast that would give me wrist fatigue and it would give me a workout just wearing that watch around, and I'd probably ding it on a few different door frames throughout the course of a day, I'm sure. But it is lovely, and I love James Cameron as a filmmaker. I think it's interesting, all the exploration he's done in the ocean. He's a really interesting individual. And so I say, hey, if you love the James Cameron, go with the James Cameron, and who cares about resale value? Who cares about the silver Snoopy if you like the Rolex more? Now, if you're on the opposite side, you don't care about the Rolex, it looks unpractical to you, and you love the Omega Silver Snoopy, by all means, try to get one of those. Always go with what you love is what I would say. So that concludes this episode of Watch Talk. Thanks for being with me. If you have a question or a topic or something you want to share to get here in the episode, please reach out to me. My email is in the description. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.